just paint a quick little warm-up. I did one of these last night and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would do it again and do it for you in here and show you how quick they can be. And so this one, I usually go for about 30 minutes, but I'm gonna try to go for even less. I'm gonna try to get our time under. And I'm also going to use a slightly limited palette for me. Usually I have all of my paints available to me, and I still do. They're all sitting right in front of me, but I thought I would use this little one I put together. So these are some paints I put together this morning. I have 2 reds, 2 yellows, 2 greens, 2 blues. I have another darker color, so 3 blues actually, 3 blues-ish, and 2 browns and a dark black-ish color. And when I say ish, I'm just saying those colors loosely because I don't want you to get tied down to what I have necessarily. So yeah, 1 warm red, 1 cool red, 1 warm yellow, 1 cool yellow, 1 warm, actually greens are both kind of, actually no, one is cooler, one is slightly more, they're just different greens. The blues are, one's cool and one's warm, and the other's in between. There's a good range, a medium, a neutral, and a warm, neutral, and a cool. Okay, so I think for the sake of this video, I might move this out of the way. I could put it up here, but I don't think you need to necessarily see what colors I'm going to use, so I'm just going to put it off the side for now. I am going to use a mop brush and then just this little cheapy dollar type brush here, and anything else brush I want to grab, I'll grab. I'm going to loosely spray my paper, although that's not necessary since it's so small, but I'm just going to spray it 2 or 3 times very lightly. And I'll take my mop flat brush and just give it a good sweep. Doesn't need to be perfect because our paper is so small that it won't necessarily really matter, because we can wet our whole paper as we're painting. If it was a larger paper, you definitely want to make sure your whole paper is evenly coated with water, because you know you'll find those little pockets of dryness. But with mine, it's so small that I don't think it really matters. So let me make sure everything's straight. I feel like we're a little crooked here, and are we crooked? I feel like we're crooked. Are we very crooked or just a little bit crooked? It's really hard to tell. I don't know why. I can tell really well on my other screen. Okay, yeah, I can't zoom in, or I can't zoom out on this one. Yeah, that line is driving me crazy. Why are we so crooked here? I don't know. Sorry about that. It's gonna drive me slightly insane. Okay, we're okay. We'll just stay crooked. And I'll try hard to ignore it. Hello, Penny. I was wondering if you were here. So it doesn't tell me who's here, but it'll say there are people here. It just doesn't tell me who. And so I wondered if you were here. I'm going to just do a quick sort of loose something here. Just starting with a yellowish color, and then I'm going to add a darker yellowish. Keep that lighter yellow in the middle there, sort of. Get that little fuzz out of there. Pick that up. Maybe I'll grab some, I think maybe a burnt sienna-like color. And this is actually a cypress umber, but for me, it very well reads burnt umber for me. But I love the way it moves. See how these things happen? And you know, it's not necessarily intentional, it's just the amount of water, and certain paints like to move with certain different things. So in this palette I have a few different brands, and so the different brands will do different things, and that's always fun as well to see what paints will do different things. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Just a little watercolor, and we'll see where it takes us. Not really necessarily a plan. I don't paint from references as often as I should, perhaps, but I just like to kind of play with color and see where it takes me. So that is a little bit of what I'll be doing. That was a little much of that red, so I'm going to try to pick that up. Often reds are somewhat staining, so that might not go too far, or as much as I'd want it to go. And so let's just bring some more yellow. I try to work fast and not overthink, because this is a warm-up, so I like the idea that, you know, this doesn't have to take a lot of time and thought. I like the idea that we can just sort of get some color on there and see where it takes us. All right, I'm also going to mix because I don't want that color as. There we go. Much better to mix. Sometimes I get out of that hat, or sometimes I, especially when I'm on here, sometimes I'll forget that I should be mixing instead of just. Okay, so these two reds, one is not as pink as I was hoping it would be. So let's mix some of the other yellow with it. Other than watercolor, what is your favorite medium? Me personally, I don't have another medium. I'm a one-trick pony. That's all I do. I do fiber arts and stuff like that, but I don't actually, I wish I could draw. I wish I could, you know, maybe be better with colored pencils, but I'm not. And so this is it. This is all I do. That's it for me. Yeah, I don't do Procreate. I don't do anything besides this. This is my passion. Oh, exactly. You're not an artist. Huh. Missouri, Penny. I am in Washington State, a little bit on the other side. And so let's see, what other color shall we use? Let's go with some, I just poured some sap green in here. I really like sap green. So let's pour that in there. We'll mix some in our palette here. Maybe mix it with a little bit of blue for this bottom area here. Maybe even some more blue. That's cool. Okay, now let's go back to our sap green and our other green and just sort of see what happens. And see, you can do these really fast, really quick things. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It never has to be perfect. Never, ever, ever. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can take you an hour. It can take you 4 hours. It can take you 10 minutes. It's still art. And it still can be fun. Hello, hello. All right, so just adding some darker, because why not? I always like to darken up my corners a little bit. And I do often do these kind of colors, but I guess these colors kind of draw me in. They're kind of fun. Let's check if my paper's still wet. It is pretty darn wet still, so we can still add some other, let's see, this guy, I started with a red. Let's grab some red. I love the Pacific Northwest. I enjoy painting, Misty. Me too, me too. I love painting trees. Trees are one of my most favorite things to paint. Kind of simple that way, I guess. Mix some red and some blue. And of course, we're gonna get a moody purple. Maybe we'll go less of a moody to start to see if we want to add some of those in there. Maybe we'll go a little darker with our moods here. Maybe we'll drop in some little wispy clouds down here. They don't always have to be those flat kind. Let's add some texture to them. I love the texture. And just kind of fun to play with colors, no expectations, not following a reference picture, just kind of doing whatever feels good in the moment, at the timing. Maybe we can add some trees back here, or suggestions of trees, I should say. They don't even have to be trees, they can just suggest trees. And they can just be, you know, little suggestions. Little suggestions of trees, shrubbery, foliage, just texture going on back there instead of just, but I really like these bleeds, how these random bleeds kind of happen. And so I don't really want to mess with too many of those. So I think I'll leave those, and then I'll go back in with some dark just down here, just to maybe add. So I like when we have these light spots, I really like to have the dark to kind of contrast that, right? Because without light, we don't have dark. Without dark, we don't have light. And so without the combination, I feel you don't see the other as much. So everything's still wet, so it'll kind of smooth itself out. And already we're 9 minutes in, and I feel like we could technically call it, add some birds, add some shimmer, and be done. Oh, well, that's kind of you to say. Thank you, thank you. The green with the color of the sky is stunning. Your paintbrush is like a magic wand. Oh, thanks, Penny. You flatter me. You are very, very kind. It it's so therapeutic. I didn't even, I never even knew that I needed something like this in my life because I didn't think I could paint. Oftentimes I don't think I can paint. I just like to play with color. And so color for me is what draws me to this medium. Just the ways the colors are translucent, they can be opaque, and they can be bold, and they can be muted, and they can be all these things, right? I don't know, and they have light that shines through them. And so I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of maybe sticking to a set palette for a little while, just to force myself to. I mix anyway, but maybe I don't know. I'm on the fence. I go on the fence between convenience colors. I love having a green ready to go, but I also love mixing my greens, and I always mix my greens, so it's hard to decide what to do, or just do whatever I want right at the time. Penny, do you use a set amount of colors, or do you use all the colors you want anytime you want? Oh, you know what? I have my liner brush. Let's do a little more with some liners back here. That way we can sneak in some colors. Still feel like we need just a little bit right here. And again, you can go so much more. This is just really super simple, silly simple. Like anybody can do this simple, right? This doesn't really take a lot of talent. It just takes practice. This watercolor, the way I do it, doesn't take talent at all. It just takes practice, honestly. There's no talent. It's just practice over and over, daily practice. And so anybody can do it. It's really is that easy. Okay, I'm gonna use my heat tool, which means I'm gonna mute you for a moment so that you don't have to listen to the heat tool. Okay, I was going to stop, but then my colors got a little pale, and so I'm going to re-wet the sky, and I'm going to add more color because I think this red looks a little strange, and I think my clouds kind of faded off into nothing. So what I do is I re-wet my paper, and what is your favorite color? Ghost fungi? Is that your name? Ghost mushroom? I like to add more. We need more, don't we? But if I had to say, I think yellow ochre. Ochre's always been my favorite. Yellow. Always loved yellow. But I love the colors that you can mix that I never thought I would love. I love purples. I never thought I would love them. Very interested in making my own paints for fun. Yeah, I wish I had more time. If I had more time, I would absolutely 100% be intrigued to do that. I would love to go to like a class and just kind of learn it for, see if I even liked it, to do it for the day. Every once in a while I see people getting rid of their supplies because they're being done, but I think that would probably be a little overkill. You can get started at home for really, really easy. I don't think it costs a lot. I think the only problem is, Penny, you get so addicted to the colors, you'd want to buy all the colors all the time. You'd be going crazy wanting all the colors from everywhere. At least I know that's how I would be. So just dropping in some more colors for the sky, because this little light pocket, I feel like needs maybe a little darkness. And then this red stuff over here was a little much, so I'm just gonna add some purple to that area, maybe tone it down a little bit. Sort of like a glaze, but it's not really a glaze because it's wet on wet. I don't know what that's called. A wash over a wash, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. And I'm not a very technical person. I didn't go to school for watercolor. I don't take any professional classes. Everything I've learned is online, YouTube and Skillshare. It's a type of mushroom that grows and is poisonous. Ooh, I like it. Okay. Oh, it's not the white flat top one, is it? No, I don't think it is. Oh, is it the one that's really tall and kind of So it grows really tall and it's kind of narrow, like a ghost shape. And then does it kind of melt after it? Maybe a bunch of them do that. I don't know. Up in the Pacific Northwest here, we have this one mushroom in particular that looks like a goth mushroom. Once it like starts, I don't know if it's deteriorating or what it's doing, but once it kind of breaks down, it like drips. It's really cool. It makes me really excited to see it. Because from day to day, they change so much. I'm like, wait, I gotta get a picture of that crazy mushroom. So anyway, I think my kids think I'm a little crazy sometimes because I always want to take a picture of it, but it's so cool. It's really cool. I don't think I appreciated mushrooms as much. Well, in my defense, I lived in Las Vegas for 14 years before this, and we didn't really have too many mushrooms out there, so yeah. A little too dry for that. Let's see, I'm gonna go back to this red, and then I'm gonna grab some really dark blue, the shadow blue. Oh, that was too dark. Do you see that? Holy cow. Let's get some more of our red and really just, if you go too dark, just start watering things down, then blotting off your brush on a towel, and then dropping that in slowly. I just want to get a little bit of the accents down there. And I could have been done. You can be done at any point, and you can keep going, and you can stop, and you can go, and you could actually put this on pause and come back to it tomorrow. It is big and does have a flat white top that curls inward. Ooh, like curl. Oh, down in like on its little rooftop. Curls under like that, or up. I don't think any do that up, do they? Oh, look what I did to my cloud. Okay, so I ended up getting this big blob, and it's not really nice. So what you can do is just take a cloth that's slightly damp and just tap out some of that color. And if you have these harsh lines, you can decide if you like them and if you want to leave them or if you want to get rid of them. Or you can kind of do whatever you want, right? Just keep playing with things. Nothing's permanent in watercolor. You can take away things, you can add things, you could rinse off this whole paper, scrub it off, and sort of start over. Now your paper won't be perfectly white like it was when you began, but it'll be pretty fun. When you get the chance, look it up. They are fun. Okay, I will. I'm not good with detailed things. Unfortunately, I can't draw, but I will definitely look it up just because I'm now very, very curious. And maybe one day I will teach myself to draw, right? I know that it's a skill that I can learn. I just need to put in the practice and the dedication to practice. Okay, this is getting worse. Okay, so when it starts doing this and I'm just not liking where it goes, I bring out this brush and I just kind of give everything a little sweep, and then it turns into even more of a muddy mess, and then I don't like it either. So when you get to this point, what you can do is dry it all over again, and you can then re-wet and start again. So it's kind of up to you where you want to take these and what kind of dedication you have, really, or what kind of determination you have to keep going or to quit or to call it. It just kind of depends on what you like to do. I'm slightly determined, so I will usually keep fiddling with something until I decide, sorry, hiccup there, until I either give up or dry it and re-wet it. Or sometimes I'll just keep doing this. I'll wet my brush, I'll add some more color. And so we'll just kind of see where that goes. And it doesn't always work, and it doesn't always have to. It doesn't always have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to work out. Sometimes it just doesn't. That's okay. It really, truly is okay if things don't work out. I think I get so set on things being perfect and working out and being the way I want them to be that sometimes it just doesn't happen. Okay. They are really easy because they don't need to be perfect, and watercolor might be the best medium to use when painting them. No, you're not distracted at all. No, you're not at all. That's awesome. Okay, then if they're not, maybe I will be able to give it a try. I need to try things like that to see if I can find a loose style, right, to be able to paint those kind of things. Because I do occasionally paint, I wouldn't say still life, but occasionally I'll paint something that maybe from a collaboration of a group collaboration. Sometimes our group picks pictures that aren't necessarily landscapes, and so I paint them, and I try to adapt my style into that, and it's hard for me, so I want to be able to try to do that. And that actually is a good idea for me to push myself, is what I'm trying to say. And no, it's I get distracted all the time. it's not you. And this is for communication too. I do these lives so that we can talk and I can paint, and we can share things, and I can learn from you. You can learn maybe something from me, or maybe just be entertained. I don't know. So it's not that I want to sit here and focus on this. I'm not that kind of artist. I'd rather build a community, and I like that part of it. I like the togetherness. I like the if I can do it, you can do it kind of thing. So that's kind of what, yeah, this is not looking great, but that's okay. So what should I do? Well, I wanted to go 15 minutes, but I'm now at 20, and I guess I'll go till probably longer. I don't like where I'm going with this. I muddied up the sky. I no longer have my lights. So what I'm going to do is, let me stand up and look at it one more time. Standing up and looking at your, sorry, the wobble. My table does wobble, and my kids often shift the shim. Let me fix the shim real quick. Is it in there? Oh, nope, it's in there. It shouldn't wobble as much as it did, but it did wobble. Okay, I could add trees, but I don't really like what I have. So let's fiddle with stuff here. Let's see. Let's muck it up. Okay. Okay. I don't want to lose my bright in here, so I'm just going to start kind of working my wet brush through some of this and bring back some light. But I am going to get hard lines now, right? Because I'm introducing a bunch of water to spaces that were somewhat dry. And so this can do weird things. So if you really care about your piece, this isn't a recommended way to go about it, but I don't. This is all practice for me. Everything I do is practice. Everything I do is for me to learn, for me to just kind of share what I'm learning, to just kind of help myself find my way, to help me find, fine-tune my style of painting. And really it's just for exploration, really and truly, just exploration. So I'm pretty much picking up that red that I didn't love over there, and just kind of showing you that you can do different things if you don't like it. I wasn't particularly attached. I wasn't also loathing it or anything, but I just want to show that you can do a lot of different things. And if you're starting to not like what you're doing, you can change direction, and that's okay too, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Really, really, truly. This is a dagger brush, sort of like a flat angle, but not really ish. It's a great brush to play with. I don't use it as often as I should. I have a floppy dagger that I like better, and this is one that I use. I don't paint loose florals very often, but if I do paint loose florals, let me show you the brush I love. This is the brush I love for loose florals because it's so floppy. It helps you be really loose with stuff. So if you're trying to paint something really loose, see how floppy that is? It just lets you very loosely smudge and smush and drag and pull and that kind of stuff. Whereas something like this, right, around is very, it's going to keep its shape and apparently keep its paint on it because I have paint on there. So yeah, it's not going to, I mean, you could smush it, but not as well, right? And then if you use something like a regular round, you're also not able to, right, be as loose. You're always going to have that sort of, you're always kind of laying down that line, so to speak. Whereas this one, you can just be very, very free. Anyway, I do recommend this brush. It's in my Amazon store, and I think it's about between $8 and $11. It's one of my favorite inexpensive finds. I appreciate your honesty and the way you just go for it. Oh, thanks, Penny. Oh no, what did I do? What am I doing on public, on the public space? Oh, you're crazy. Crazy, crazy. Me, not you. Well, maybe you're crazy too, but I won't call you that because I don't know. I'm crazy, not you. And I don't mean crazy in a bad way. I mean crazy in a fun way. But maybe I shouldn't use that word because that might not be as kind. Okay, I'm looking at it, still going, what am I doing? So I'm going to dry again. Okay, I'm gonna go one more time with the water. And sometimes once you add the water, again, sometimes you can kind of work out some of the lines that you may or may not like. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't. I've messed with this a lot, so I don't think it's going to. Let's get that giant fuzz off there. And that's okay. It's, again, nothing set, so it doesn't have to. Here, we'll use the dagger just to play with the dagger brush. Okay, we don't want to introduce a bunch more of that color. I already did that and wasn't working. And see, this is the time where I don't want to use a whole new palette, but I am using that whole new color palette. So, you know, I'm uncomfortable, and so that adds discomfort, right, as well, using a new palette that maybe you're not used to. And now I'm introducing a brush that I haven't used in a while. So if you're uncomfortable and you're not feeling it, maybe it's sometimes good to go back to the things you know and are comfortable with and know how they work, and so that you can manipulate each thing how you want it to, right? So the paper you're used to, the paint you're used to, and maybe a scene that you're used to painting. And so that way everything's familiar and you're comfortable. And so I am not particularly comfortable right now with the colors that I chose, because I don't usually limit myself to set. And also, you know, doing it live is a whole nother beast. So it's not always the most, although I do it a lot, it's still not always comfortable necessarily, right? And I know Penny's heard this before, but YouTube is a whole new thing, and it's not as my focused community as I'm used to. For Instagram, you know, all the people follow me, and you really don't get people that don't follow you on your lives. They're always people that follow you, that know your, you know, your style, how you are. They usually have seen something you've done before. But here, it's not like that. I think they just shoot it out to all the, I don't know how the lives get shot out, but they definitely get shot out somewhere. So anyway, all I'm doing right now is adding some more darks. I'm trying to blur this line down here into this stuff happening down here, only because what did I do? Oh, I have harsh lines down there and I didn't really intend to. But anyway, it's just playing around. It's just playful. It's moody. I think I'm going to dry this one more time, add my birds and splatter, and we'll call it. If you see me touching my paper, it's to see if it's dry. If it's cool to the touch, it's still a little damp. It's still a little damp on this section, but that's okay. It's dry in the middle where I want to add my birds, and it's also dry along the foreground where I'm going to add the splatter. And so what I like to do for splatter is get a bit of paint, the darkest I can get. I like to sometimes mix whatever's on my palette to get that. And I make it pretty darn watery. And I just want hints of birds. I don't want giant birds, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. And there we go, one little bird. And two little birds, and I also don't talk while I'm doing birds because, or breathe. Talk or breathe. Yes, my lines go too thick every time. Every time. All right, next up, we're gonna cover up our space. And that's perfect timing because my family just said they're heading home. I'm gonna cover up my space and everywhere because the shimmer stuff likes to go. So I'm gonna grab a goldish shimmerish color, and how about this one? Yep, we're gonna add a goldish with slightly pinkish And we're gonna roll off all the extra water, and we're just going to sprinkle a little bit on. They kind of look like fireflies, which I think is super fun. They could be foreground flowers. They could be whatever you want. It could just be light hitting off the grass. It could be, yeah, I think I'm out of what it could be. But I see a little spot, and it goes best in the dark areas because it gives it the most contrast. I think it's really pretty that way. And let me show you. So off all these come. We put these away. We take our shimmers. We put those down out of the way. So let's take the tape off, and I'll show you the really pretty little pretty shimmers. I do reuse my tape, so I just save it over here on my desk. I take it off and then lay it flat. So I grab it by both ends so it doesn't curl up on me, and lay it flat on my tabletop. I usually use it until it leaks. And you usually want to let your paint dry, taped down, your paper, your painting dry, taped down. So it turned out okay after all that fidgeting. That's a little hard lines. And you know, if that bothered you, you could go in with wet and fix it a little bit. It doesn't really bother me. Again, this is just all practice. So I am not super bothered by it. Oh, see there, now we have that crooked. Penny, do you see how crooked that is? Why is it so crooked? Everything is just so crooked. It's, this is the same way I do everything all the time. It's just so darn crooked. I don't know. I try to be. I just hate waste too. It seems like such a waste to throw the tape away every single time. Oh, there we, oh, sorry. Oh, so much zooming and so much trying to make things fit. It's so different what you see on my phone and then what you see on later on. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.